Hello guys, and welcome to another day with Zimaleta. In today's video we're going to be removing this ABS module right here. As you can see, it's very accessible. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and actually just remove this plastic piece. It covers up your electrical components here, and then you simply pull on it like this all the way, and then you release it. Sometimes you will need to replace these ABS modules because somehow or another, but these components, they get all melted and stuff. I don't know what happens, but I've seen them melt. So that means you will have to replace not only this, but you're gonna need to replace the electrical as well. So the very next thing we're gonna be doing is we're gonna need to disconnect every single one of these lines here. So we have two lines in the back. So you want to make sure you're going to be disconnecting them the correct way. So that's what we're doing. You want to do counterclockwise. So they're probably hand tight already, and it can be a little bit challenging due to the fact that some of these lines, they're kind of like in your way. So some of these are number 10 and some of them I think like a number 12, but we're using a 7/16 right now for the two in the back and two over here up close. Guys, if you just subscribe to my channel and you're wondering kind of like what am I doing on my channel here, I'm pretty much a sprinter guy. I offer sprinter help to my viewers. I've had a lot of experience with them, just owning them and doing my own do-it-yourself type of stuff. I'm a car guy, so even if I don't know how to fix something, I attempt to fix it anyways. And I've had some really good luck and successes over the years in repairing all my own problems on the Sprinter. So I'm sharing my repair tips with you guys from experience. So some of you guys might be, you know, professionals out there and you work on sprinters and stuff like that, and you know, you might know exactly what you're doing, and some of you guys that are watching, you don't. So to those of you guys that don't know anything about sprinters, I have a very simple approach. It is pretty easy approach. I don't like to complicate things, so I use very simple language, easier to understand. You know, it's kind of like how they have those books, you know, for dummies, except, you know, I wouldn't really call it that. It's more like me sharing my knowledge from, you know, one guy that's do-it-yourselfer to another that's like-minded, that's trying to work on the Sprinter. I share my knowledge with you guys, and this will lead you to understand your Sprinter a little bit more, and maybe for your own hands-on approach, or at least understanding what's wrong with your Sprinter. That way you can, you know, take it to your mechanic, and a lot of times your mechanic will ask you, well, what's wrong? Well, you'll be able to tell him at least a little bit better what's going on. That way he could actually go ahead and replace the correct parts that need to be replaced and get you back on the road. You might be offering, do I work on customers' vehicles as well? Yes, I do. I really don't offer this type of service, but by appointment only. If somebody wants me to work on their vehicle, it's by appointment only. You could just contact me like through email. We'll exchange phone numbers. You could come in and I'll diagnose your van. Now if I'm diagnosing your van and I'm hooking up my, you know, like regular type of computer to it, and you're just getting codes, that is absolutely free to actually diagnose your vehicle. Just, you know, plug the computer in and I'm gonna say, you know what, here's the codes. But if you want me to do the real type of diagnostics where, you know, I hook up my good computer to it and I actually tell you the definitions to the codes, what they mean and stuff, I take it out on a test drive, that is actually $150. But just to hook up and just to tell you kind of like what those codes means and stuff like that, it's $100. But it's not really going to tell you much just by hooking it up to it, because a lot of times some of those codes are noise. So the reason I charge a little more, like $150, is because that's like a good diagnostics. I'm not gonna say like it's like hours upon hours, because that is not a detailed diagnostics. If I do that, it's going to be a lot more expensive because I'm gonna charge per hour. But what I like to do is I like to read all the codes, take pictures of those codes or write them down, explain to the customer what those codes mean, and then delete the codes and take the vehicle for the test drive. But before even deleting the codes, I like to take the vehicle for the test drive just to see what's it doing, and then we read the codes, and then we delete them, and then we give a test drive to try to figure out, okay, what's going on now? Is it driving better? Is it worse? So once I actually, you know, test drive it, we will see if those codes do come back. Because a lot of times codes get triggered, you know, for whatever reason, and they can be just noise. And what happens is if you take it into, let's say, like a shop, a lot of times what they do is they'll just read those codes and they'll tell you those are the problems, and they're just going to go ahead and start replacing parts that has to do with those codes, which can mean a lot of different things, and your bill will go up substantially because of that. And when that happens, you might be happy that everything got, you know, replaced and you don't have to worry about those parts because, you know, maybe they're new now, but it's going to be a really hefty price tag. Something that I recommend, even if I go on a test drive, even if it's like you bring a vehicle to me, you know, to work on, I recommend only to replace what's broken, you know, unless we don't know what's broken and then, you know, we're also throwing parts at it. But in that particular case, you know, it's a different situation. But a lot of times I'm pretty spot on when it comes to actually replacing the parts that we do need to replace. So I don't like to replace parts that we don't, because that costs you money and that costs me my time. So, you know, that is not something that I like to do, because, you know, most Sprinter owners, they're just trying to get by, you know, with the vehicle and fix what needs to be fixed and get back to work, so they have a running vehicle and not be at the shop all the time and spend all kinds of money, because you really can't make money that way by always being in the shop. So my whole purpose is keep you guys out of the shop by offering my own tips and tricks to try to service your vehicle, you know, and just have that source for you guys at your disposal. It is not the purpose of just like, you know, getting you guys to come into my shop. Now, if I do have a shop and I want to bring customers in, of course I'm going to be, you know, saying that I offer this type of service now. But right now it's by appointment only. I had already lots of clients that come in this year. I work in advance. They're pretty happy with, you know, what I've done and the stuff that I've replaced. Nobody really does it perfectly. This is why people get into the shop, and it spends, you know, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes a month in the shop just getting diagnosed and stuff. And that's because, you know, it's very challenging. You know, try figuring out exactly what's wrong when you're dealing with mechanical, electrical issues, and something minor can trigger something major, you know, to happen. And something might not be communicating. So if you have to put in hours upon hours just to figure out like what's wrong, that is going to be a per hour type of diagnostics, actually per hour, like how long it actually takes. And also, if I'm charging per labor hour, and let's say that's like 2-hour type of job, and I'm charging you like $200 for that, you know, to actually get something replaced, if I run into any complications, that's going to be money on top of that. You know, just keep that in mind, because you know, if it's like a simple replacement, it is calculated in a normal type of setting where you know, you remove the component and now you replace the component, and how long does that actually, you know, take to do it for a professional. That's actually what it's based on. So if I'm not a professional, it's going to take me longer. If I am, it's going to take me a little less. But let's say if there's a rusted bolt that you cannot remove, that's really stuck, well, in that case, that's going to take longer. You know, you might have to soak the bolt, you might have to, you know, let it soak overnight or a couple hours, keep coming back and keep picking at it, you know, until you actually, you know, figure this problem out. Guys, surprisingly, this is taking a while to remove this bolt, and there's really nothing I can do. This is like, sometimes that's how long it really takes to wrench away little by little to try to remove this. But guys, in case you're new to my channel, you're wondering what do I do with all these parts that I'm removing, well, I have an eBay store, guys, and I sell a lot of Sprinter parts on it. They're literally like flying off the shelf. Like anytime I post stuff, it's like boom, boom, boom. You know, just people are buying stuff all the time. So what I'm trying to do now is wrench away at my own vans, and this is okay of a setting for me as long as it's not raining. You know, it's fine for me. Like if I'm going to like remove this part, for instance, this is an ABS module, this is an easy $250. I always allow my you know, people that's my customers to basically bargain with me, I guess, on these parts. They give me offers. So let's say I list this for 250 or, you know, 279 or whatever. They can offer me 250 for it, or maybe like 200, and then I decide whether I want to take it or not. But here's a fun fact, guys. Some of these modules, they're different numbers. Like the number you get is right there, that starts with an A. And I have 5 of these T1N sprinters and 1, you know, NCV3. And guess what? All of my T1Ns, that number matches exactly. And I've seen already a couple modules people try to buy from me, but my numbers are not matching up to theirs. And the only thing is that I could guess why the number's different. These are Dodges, so their vehicle might be a Freightliner, and when it's a Freightliner, I believe they have to use a different part number. It's going to be the same, you know, Bosch or Mercedes part, but it is a different number. So I'm thinking that's why it is. And from what I have seen, everybody's trying to replace it with the correct type of number. But if it's a 2004 to 2006 vehicle, these modules are identical. So to remove this module, you simply have to get it out of its cradle. I believe there's really nothing else that is holding it down. There is like an electrical connection here, a very little one. So simply you could just bend these things back. Yeah, so it basically just sits in that cradle like that. So with these parts, guys, you have all kinds of rust issues, and this is a New York vehicle, so that rust is on there. But anyways, guys, I hope this video was very helpful for you to try to figure this thing out. You know, if it was, please hit a like, and you know, come back to watch more of my videos. So thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe and like my video. Thank you. Bye-bye.
My name is Serge Zimaleta. I'm 37 years old, and yes, I experienced success after buying my first home for cash. Back in 2011, I was broke, but I learned to solve problems on my own. Now I'm helping others to solve their problems. I know what pitfalls to avoid to stay profitable in business. Need motivation to be more successful in your life? Do you have Sprinter, Expedite, or business problems? Then subscribe. Let's find creative solutions to your problems. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of my helpful videos.